Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of A Healthy Dose of Fran. Today, Disney returns in a new theory video looking at something that has yet to be discussed in Disney, but has been seen in other areas, such as Disney's Pixar and the Marvel Cinematic Universe. What connects these two things? Well, it's the idea that there are multiple worlds and interconnecting stories in these universes. And that's what I think is happening with Disney, and Disney has its own version of this. So what I'll be talking about today is how Disney does in fact have a multiverse. Now I know what you're thinking. But Fran, there's no such thing as a Disney multiverse. Surely they would have confirmed it by now. And you'd be right, Disney Pictures haven't confirmed the idea of a Disney multiverse. Or have they? Do you remember this little film from 2007 where an animated film went into being a live action film? Yeah, that's right. I'm talking Enchanted. When Enchanted came to Disney back in 2007, we were introduced to a brand new concept: multiple worlds. Giselle is from the world of fairy tales, where everyone receives a happy ending, and it is all predestined. She then enters the real world, where happy endings aren't guaranteed, but hard work can lead to a happier beginning. It is this introduction that led to this idea that there is more than one world in the Disney universe. Think about A Nightmare Before Christmas and all the doors to different holiday worlds. What if there's something similar in Disney? This would then create the Disney multiverse. So with the evidence presented from Enchanted and A Nightmare Before Christmas, it really wasn't that hard of a jump to make that there is a Disney multiverse. The only thing we had to come up with was, what are the different worlds in Disney? And there are in fact 4 of them. First we have the real world universe. Then there's the Animal Kingdom universe. And then we have the fairy tale universe. Then finally we have the world of the gods. Now of course, just to state, these are my own ideas as to what the different worlds could be. You could have your own as well, but I'm going to be sticking with these 4 and going more in depth to them. So let us start with the real world. The real world is what it says on the tin. It is our world. There is no magic. There are no automatic happily ever afters. No boss battles of good versus evil. It is just life being lived, and it's just in a world that we recognise. Take 101 Dalmatians for example. It is set in London, and we recognise the characters and the life in which they are living because it's our own world. Yes, there are some fantastical elements in terms of Cruella de Vil's evilness, and there is that little bit of good versus evil battle. But even so, people are sucky. And the fact that Cruella de Vil is in this and is a horrible character really just reflects society. Take a look also at Bambi. Bambi could have very easily fit into the animal kingdom, but because humans play rather a large role in that film in terms of being the antagonist really to the animals there, it sets it into the real world. We kill Bambi's mother, we set the forest on fire, and as such we are the evil, but it is still realistic because that's what happens in the real world. We are destroying the forests. So it makes sense and it fits into the real world universe. And then we have the Animal Kingdom. Now the Animal Kingdom is separate from our own. Yes, we have animals in the real world, but in this one, animals are on top. They are in control of their own universe. We are not involved with it. Humans aren't in their world. Look at the Lion King. They don't have any discussions about people. They don't see anyone coming past on safari or anything like that. And then even look at Zootopia, where they have an actual full world where humans aren't involved with it. There is no discussion of humans. It's just animals in their own world. The only case that I can think of that has the animal kingdom that does have a human is Winnie the Pooh. But from what we get from this is that Christopher Robin is actually crossing universes to get to this animal kingdom, because he doesn't actually live there full time, he just appears. So I think he's actually coming from the real world to the animal kingdom because he's found a way to cross that universe, which is an interesting way to interconnect those stories. To follow on from the animal kingdom, we have the fairy tale universe, where Giselle originally came from in Enchanted. Now in the fairy tale universe, we have the happily ever after phrase and meaning of life, as well as things such as magic. This is the fantasy element that sets the fairy tale universe apart from the real world. Now we could have had, for example, Beauty and the Beast be in the real world, but due to the magical nature of it, it really does set it apart into the fairy tale universe instead of the real world view. Yes, we have princesses and princess stories here in the real world, but the fact there is magic and the big boss battles with the evil doers makes it less realistic and keeps it enclosed in this fantasy universe and the fairy tale universe, because everyone ends up with a happily ever after, which in the real world doesn't always happen. To carry on from this idea of the fantasy world, we move on to the world of the gods. Now this can interconnect with lots of these different universes because godlike figures can interact with these different worlds. Take Hercules for example. Hercules could very easily fit into the real world, but the fact that no mortal can actually enter Olympus is what shows that there is a separation between these two universes. Olympus was the world of the gods, but the gods could very easily interact with those on Earth. Another example is Maui from Moana, who is a little bit more involved with the world itself. He just has these godlike abilities. And they even discuss gods that we don't actually see as well, making their world separate from the real one. As well as godlike figures in this universe are also godlike gifts, and this can be seen in Neverland in Peter Pan, where the land itself is a godlike universe because it gives the power of immortality the moment a person enters the universe, but the moment they leave, the power of immortality is gone. Now, with all of this, we can actually tie every single Disney Pictures film into one of these four categories. In the real world, we've got 101 Dalmatians, Bambi, Mulan, Hunchback of Notre Dame, Bolt. In the animal kingdom, we've got The Lion King, we've got Zootopia, we've got Robin Hood, we've got Winnie the Pooh, and a Goofy movie. In fairy tales, we've got Snow White, Sleeping Beauty, Cinderella, Beauty and the Beast, Frozen, and basically any other princess movie, really. In the world of the gods, we've got Moana, Hercules, The Little Mermaid, Peter Pan, and Princess and the Frog, and many others as well. Now, unlike Pixar and the Marvel Cinematic Universe, these stories don't necessarily interconnect. In a way, what I think the Disney multiverse is like is that these worlds are separate, but like Christopher Robin and Giselle, there is a way to connect with them and find your way to another universe. You've just got to pick the right door. And imagine if Giselle had ended up in one of these other universes, and what life would have been like if, for example, she ended up in the animal kingdom and turned into an animal. Or if she ended up in the world of the gods and, from how kind she is, maybe even becoming a god herself. Either way, this idea of a multiverse really does fit with the way in which the Disney films work. But what do you guys think? Do you think there is a Disney multiverse? Or do you think I'm just talking nonsense? Guys, I had so much fun making this video and basically giving myself a reason to binge watch Disney films for days on end. Now, the four worlds that I came up with, you guys may not necessarily agree with, and if you have your own ideas as to how a Disney multiverse could work, let me know in the comment section down below. But in relation to the four worlds that I came up with, which world would you want to visit the most? And if you could choose which world Giselle fell into, which world would that be? Before this video ends, I want to let you guys know that in the description box down below, at the very end of the box, you will find a link and a message to you guys personally, reflecting on mental health and the problems that people can have with it. Now, I've often been incredibly open, especially on my Instagram, about my problems with mental health, including depression, anxiety and PTSD. Now, in the description box you will find a link to a website that has basically every single country's mental health hotline that if you need support you can call, because if you need to speak to someone, there is no shame in that. Not everyone can be strong, and honestly, calling someone and telling them that you need help is possibly the strongest thing that you can do. And so yes, that is linked in the description box down below, and everyone please look after yourselves, because I love you and I always appreciate everything you guys do for me, and I hope you can do the same thing for yourselves. But in general guys, I want to thank you so much for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. If you go to the description box down below, you'll find the links to my Instagram and Patreon, where on Patreon you get early access to any and all of my videos, as well as have a say as to what comes out in future. Here on YouTube, however, if you guys aren't already subscribed, go to the button down below or click the one popping up here on screen. If you want to check out my previous Disney videos, the playlist will be popping up here, and then something else for you beautiful people will be popping up here. But again, thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you guys next time.